Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rekt Capital and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video about this current historic price predicament here on Bitcoin's price action, the highest weekly candle close in its history, and now setting itself up for new all-time highs. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future, and let's dive right in. So we know that over the past months, Bitcoin closing below or inside this red resistance area that has preceded a rejection. So what Bitcoin needed to do was weekly close above this red area for a bullish close, and that's exactly what it's done. It's done a historic weekly close above this red resistance area, so this final major resistance before new all-time highs has now been breached. And the thing about this breach is that it has to now come into confirmations. So that first confirmation is this weekly candle close. And now this candle, if it pulls back into this area right over here to flip this previous resistance into a new support, that would fully confirm the breakout beyond this final major resistance area to confirm a move to new all-time highs. Of course, you can see that this upside wicking level here, this wicking resistance, is figuring as a bit of a resistance, which could reject price into this area right over here for that confirmation, which is fine, because that would be healthy price action. But this wicking resistance, upside wicking resistances aren't very strong. If you focus on the resistances that have candle bodies here, you can see that this one over here is quite a strong resistance, rejecting price continuously. But upside wicking resistances like this tend to be weaker a bit. So this does translate into our scenario which we're now talking about. A weak resistance here could reject price only for a dip into this region. I think it would even be healthy to dip as far below as the 57 region, I believe it is, or the 58. That would be all well and good. The technical step that we're just watching for overall is this step, a dip into this region. If and should that happen, there are no guarantees, but that would be technically normal price action. So that's what we're watching for. And on the daily, and before we move on to this chart here about extreme fear, or at least extreme greed, on the daily here, you're already seeing some initial retesting of this red resistance area as a new support. Maybe we need to do that on the weekly and see if a bit more daily candles just dip in here to confirm this as a new base. And you can see that this retesting here is very different to the retesting we got here. Here we were just hanging about at the highs, but ultimately failing to hold here and just break down very sharply. Here as well, break down very sharply and then turn this area back into resistance. So a failed support retest, and then a relief rally to flip this back into a resistance before going further towards the downside. Here, we need to maintain these highs, of course, but we're already seeing downside wicking into this resistance area to turn it into a support, so far so good. So the thing about the Fear and Greed Index, yes, it is extreme greed, and yes, if a dip happens, then this extreme greed could be a bit tapered, and we could see a bit of a lowering in that extreme greed, potentially into greed somewhere around the 70s or 60s, high 60s. But generally speaking, extreme greed isn't sustainable normally if you're focusing on weekly closes at this resistance area. If we were to get extreme greed at this resistance over here, but weekly close below or inside this region, we'd probably get a rejection, because extreme greed 9.5 out of 10 times is unsustainable. But when we have a weekly close above this resistance area, extreme greed can actually be positive in just facilitating FOMO and just extreme greed propelling price into new all-time highs and price discovery. So in price discovery, extreme greed can maintain itself for extended periods of time because it is extreme greed that drives price discovery. It's not extreme fear that drives price discovery, right? It's greed. It's extreme greed, euphoria, FOMO, All these extreme, combustible, fervent, emotional reactions are what drive price to new all-time highs. So extreme greed is even a good thing in price discovery, because that's what it enables. That's what enables price to reach new all-time highs. In any case, guys, that's what I'm watching on the charts right now. Feel free to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like the video if you enjoyed this one and would like to see more market analysis like this going forward. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.